All right, that's me.
Crash out. Here's a definition, and here's a definition, but in picture. And if it's not clear now, it will be by the end of this video. Crash outs exist in all walks of life. You know what they say. Where there's a will, there's a way. For a Chris to get rocked by a fresh prince flipping the wrist. But today, we're going to talk about the biggest crash outs in nature. And there's a lot to choose from, so some have to get left off. I won't be talking about hippos, honey badgers, or Cape buffalo. I've said my piece on this roid-raging homicidal hydro horse on steroids. We already know Africa's Black Death is a hunter's nightmare for humans and lions alike. And I have an entire video on this biracial Black Air Force hate-mongering Hufflepuff. But what I will talk about are rhinos. Because I've said that rhinos are legally blind, terminally traumatized, anxiety attacks that will buck up to anything from a butterfly to a buffalo. Except I was wrong. Recent studies show that the eyesight of rhinos might not even be that bad. It's just their attitude, which means that rhino fully punted a warthog purposely and unprovoked, while this one perceived an assault on 8 wheels and still went for a literal headshot. There's a reason why a group of rhinos is an honest-to-God crash, but they're not even the biggest crash outs in Africa. That would be elephants. Like literally, they're the biggest. Whoever made this up actively helped escort people off the census, which they don't need help doing since elephants flatlined over 600 people last year. But it isn't until elephants hit must that they really become crash-out kings. Must is when a sudden burst of hormones turns elephants into 12,000-pound drunk lusting frat boys. The word must even comes from the word intoxicated, and a down bad bull's testosterone levels can spike 60 times higher than normal. And that's where the crash-out comes in. No animal is safe from an entitled elephant that can't handle rejection. Not even baby elephants. Eating a toddler because his mom won't relieve you? Crash out. But the real degeneracy didn't show itself until humans got involved. Yeah, it's that kind of story. Poaching is evil, we all know it, and it's often the older, more mature bulls that get hit the hardest, for obvious reasons. What wasn't expected was removing elephant OGs from the population meant that the younger, immature teenage bulls in must got even more out of pocket. And what do you get when you have unruly 6-ton pests with no father figure to keep them in line? Hell if I know. There was a period in the 90s where 3 young bulls that got rejected by their own kind, resorting to violating and killing not 1, not 2, not 10, but 63 rhinos. Fatherless behavior for an elephant apparently means turning a rhino from a tight end to a whiteout, and it wasn't until the seasoned, more mature bulls were brought back in that the rhino ravaging eventually stopped. And it's not just males that can choose violence. We can't forget that time an elephant traveled across India just to life-deprive a 70-year-old senior citizen while she was getting water. For context, that elephant escaped from the Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary and traveled over 100 miles to the Rabai village in Odisha. Being homicidal for over 100 miles straight is already menace behavior. What solidified it was that same herd pulling up to that woman's funeral later that day and paying everything but respects. And that same elephant grabbed her soul-evacuated 0 HP body and proceeded to put her in the negatives. Basically, she got put on a shirt, except the shirt was reversible. And after desecrating her corpse, the Zert was destroying the woman's house along with several others. Now, many have said the woman Maya Murmu had it coming and was involved in poaching, and this was a case of an elephant not forgetting or forgiving. It also could have been someone's grandmother getting murked twice and memed on Twitter all because of RNG. We'll never know the why, but what we do know is my favorite animal is capable of crash outs of catastrophic proportions. And now we got the smallest crash out in the world. When a colony of Calabopsis saundersea ants gets attacked, some of the soldiers will rupture 2 huge poison-filled glands and literally blow themselves up. They don't just seppuku themselves, they also rain a toxic corrosive glue that either traps the op ants in place or just burns them alive. It's self-sacrificing altruistic behavior meant to defend the colony, but that is one hell of an escalation. One species of termite also has a concept of kamikaze themselves, and they have toxic glands that actually grow as they get older. That means the same old worker termites with dull mandibles that can't fight or forage as well as their juniors also carry the most potent explosive backpacks in the colony. So their last act of service involves eviscerating themselves in a rain of internal organs, intestines, and toxins, which proves that the most dangerous crash out is the one with nothing left to lose. For reference, that's like breaking into a house and the last thing you see is a senile 90-year-old rushing you with a bomb strapped to their chest. But the wildest crash out might be what PFIDs do once a predator breaks into their home, because not only will soldiers come together and turn themselves into fleshy fireworks, they'll use their own bodily fluids to plug up the opening. Even if it means they get left outside in past tense, even if it means they suffocate on their own insides, and even if the process senses subtracts them instantly. It's one thing to self-destruct to backpedal a predator, or even after already being eaten, which aphids actually do. Using Flex Seal made out of your own guts for home repair is exactly the type of behavior this video is about. But if elephants violating the natural order didn't already tell you, the worst crash outs are the ones humans created. And this Black Air Force B is the result of one of the biggest oopsies in human history. Back in the 50s, African bees were brought to Brazil and crossbred with their more domesticated European cousins. The idea was, if they could combine the two, they could create a bee that was more efficient than the Europeans in tropical climates, while also being less defensive than the African counterparts. But in one of the most consequential hiccups possible, a local beekeeper accidentally released 26 swarms of Africanized bees, including queens. But experts said not to worry, that the bees would either die out in the foreign climate or get bred out of existence by the already present European bees.
Nope.
Yes, but actually no. By the 60s, they made it across the country. By the 80s, they hit Mexico. By the 90s, they were popping up in the US. And today, the Africanized assault has spread throughout America like a rageaholic rash. And here's the thing with playing God with bees. You better be prepared for hell. These Africanized bees were way meaner than anything this side of the Atlantic had ever seen. They were way more aggressive, much less forgiving, and the same honey merchants that were enough to legitimately punk elephants, that's not a joke by the way, were doing numbers on unsuspecting people. You see, where European bees might send 10 to 20 guard bees after you, the Africanized flying mob will pull up in the hundreds. Cool. And where European bees might chase you for a couple feet, the African variety will chase trespassers for a quarter of a mile, assuming you even get that far. The irony is, African bees have smaller hives. That means these gang flies weaponize a higher percentage of their hive just to go after you. Add the fact that the very smell of bee venom is like a Batman signal to the rest of the hive, and you realize just how badly that one beekeeper screwed us over. Speaking of venom, you probably know that honeybees die after stinging, since the stingers are barbed and attached to their abdomen, causing attacking bees to literally disembowel themselves. What you might not know is that stinger will continue pumping venom into you long after the bee has become a was. Now that's just doing the most. That's how you get stories of people being chased by vindictive swarms. Oh, and by the way, it's proven if you try to duck the fate by jumping in the water, they will wait, sometimes with fatal consequences.
Shit.
In 2013, a Texas man died after being stung over 1,000 times, and the bee still had enough malice left over to leave his wife and daughter with 100 apiece. It says a lot that the dietary habits of the Crash Out mascot might have helped create one of the most infamous crash crowds in the air. But not all crash outs are fueled by hate. Some are powered by love. Courting bald eagles will interlock talons and plummet down towards the earth, only to separate at the last possible second. Because apparently feathery foreplay means death spiraling in a questionable game of chicken. Apparently, it's to test each other's fitness as a possible partner. You know, separate the strong from the strongest. Except it does the opposite when the entangled avians crash land into trees, water, or sometimes straight pavement and take each other out the dating pool. And bald eagles mate for life, so where do you even go after your vow renewal turns into a wake that only one of you is conscious for? A study showed that eagles will also death spiral with rivals, so it's really a case of either me or fight me or just don't waste my time. But that makes even less sense, because at least with a mate, the logic is you're trying to find the strongest, most eligible single to spend the rest of your life with. Handing death a 2-for-1 BOGO deal because you had beef and literally couldn't let it go is the definition of crashing out. At least when it happens with deer like moose, you know it's really bad luck. But voluntarily interlocking toes just to die with someone you claim to hate, like what's really going on here? But that relationship's nowhere near as toxic as the house sparrows. It's like Tweety listening to NBA Youngboy. It's a honey badger with wings and an op to every other bird, but especially their own kind. Okay, so the crashing out is caused by the fact that house sparrows are monogamous and mate for life. There are also serial cheating air strumpets, and 15% of sparrow children born aren't even related to the male raising them. Cheating isn't a foreign concept to birds. Thoughts and prayers out to the penguin that got dogged out, got his cloaca kicked by his wife's boyfriend, begged for her back, got beat again, only to get rejected and busted.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no way he goes out that
sad. My god.
Male sparrows that suspect their partner of cheating get their revenge by purposely feeding their children less, bordering on starvation. The thing is, he has no way of knowing which chick's actually his. He only goes by how much time the mother spends away from the nest. Basically, imagine your dad starves you within an inch of your life, all because your mom spent the equivalent of 10 extra minutes at the grocery store. But female sparrows ain't sweet either. The difference is she cheats with better genetic quality, or you could say high-value males, while the male cheats to spread his seed as far as physically possible. Except that the female catches on to the cheating, she responds by slaughtering his entire family, children and all. And it's scientifically proven that butchering the babies offers no advantage to the offending female. It's just pure love of the game. Cheating's never right, but when your get-back gets children buried, you have lost the plot. Especially since the females most likely to commit baby cancellation are second wives. As in they got with the cheater, got with him due to cheating, only to wipe out the entire first family. Also, I just thought about it. She also has no way of knowing which chicks are his. That means she really just life retires any baby sparrow she comes across. Yeah, that's a crash out of the highest order. And right up there with them has to be this frog. It's a culinary crash dummy off the fact that the Argentine horned frog would rather choke to death trying to swallow something physically bigger than they are than just give it up. Scientists have found expired frogs with their stomachs torn open at a stubbornness. It's a breathing pot of greed carved from
it's
life.
that big? Holy shit.
Embarrassingly bad jumpers, and yo, they don't even rip
That's a Dark Souls boss. What the fuck? Yeah, I fought that fucking
Fool
thing.
done sold every aspect of being a frog just to moonlight as Jabba the Gut. They can even develop amphibian corneal lipidosis, where they hold on to
What
so
is
much
that?
fat, they literally accumulate fat deposits on their eyes that blind them. To be fair, it's usually from overfeeding in
What?
captivity, but my brother in Christ, even Nakado Avocado put the fork down at some point. Especially since
Yeah.
frogs can't vomit, the best this kitchen crash out can do is fully eject their stomachs. But luckily, they're not a threat to you. Next is a crash out that the majority of the American audience has to sidestep on a daily basis. Which is funny because the Canada goose nearly got put on an eternal milk carton due to overhunting and habitat loss. In fact, we fully thought they were out of stock in the 50s until a small flock was found in Rochester, Minnesota.
They're kinda
And with
cute.
the help of the Migratory Bird Treaty Act in the US and the Migratory Birds Convention Act in
Look at
Canada,
the one on the,
along with
on the right.
conservation efforts, the
Looks
Canada goose
majestic.
was able to make a comeback. And humanity and geese lived happily ever. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yet a cobra chicken came
Geese
back
are
with a vengeance.
evil.
I call the
Yeah.
sparrow an airborne honey badger. Nah.
They fight anything.
It's
they
just
see.
barcoded assault with wings. Easily the
Yeah.
most undeserved arrogance I've ever seen on an animal.
Jeez.
That's really what it is. This damn velociraptor has some wildly irrational confidence. They're like Family Guy. They nearly got canceled, came back, and by God do they not miss a chance to punish us for it. Even Sully's heroic landing in the
Aw.
Hudson wouldn't have even been needed if a goose didn't try to run a fade with a plane. Just proof that you can get a
Oh.
lot of mileage out
That's
of
what
false,
happened?
unearned valor. Because it's a bluff. Geese nest on the ground, so they only really can respond to a threat to minor safety by implementing the honey badger method, by raising hell until you meet someone that takes you there. Add the fact that they've managed to lose their fear of humans, and you have a high threat to national security. I've even read reports of them apparently luring chasing dogs into deep water just to attack and harass them until they eventually drown in exhaustion.
Aw.
To be fair, you could just leash your dog.
Oh my God.
Also, goose tongue.
Ugh.
Yeah, that attitude's a bluff, and they read body language, so act like you've been around a goose before and you'll probably be fine. So why are geese so mean? Yeah, they'd probably
Look
be
at that.
dead. if
Look
they
at that.
could. But at
Holy
least they're not
shit.
capable of really damaging anything but your pride. Complete opposite of chimpanzees, my word.
Yeah.
Probably a top 3 crash out in nature, cause you
God
really never
dang.
know what could set this chainsaw with thumbs off. Change your hairstyle for the first time in 10 years? Yeah, you just lost your face privileges. Push one of your troop mates a little too far? Call it Kaizen the way you about to get your jutsu jumped. Do a fucking barrel roll? Absolutely not. Not in these parts. Chimps and really primates in general have a sense of fairness. Do something they view as unfair? Oh, buddy. You finna find out why
Yep.
they're the prime ministers of
Same with
unproportional
people.
reactions. This man decided to surprise his former pet chimp with a chocolate cake for his birthday. The real surprise was 2 male chimps getting out and mutilating the man for not serving them a slice first. I'm not gonna list the
Oh
full
my
extent of his
God.
injuries. I have a full video doing that. Just know the first 2 hospitals denied him
Oh,
entry because
no.
they literally thought he was a lost cause. Monkeys in captivity have also been known to mob a member of their own for receiving more
they
food than
always
the
do it for
others.
his
And
face.
when I was 8, a chimp temper tantrum nearly had me
summers.
halfway to Helen Keller. Almost had me rocking the Nick Fury fit. And we cannot forget that time monkeys in India went on a campaign of dropping dogs from roofs after one allegedly attacked a baby of their own. Yeah, primates are some
What
Hall of
the
Fame crash
fuck?
outs. Question is, what could possibly be more destructive? Well,
Oh yeah.
tigers are
Like,
easily one
holy
of the
shit.
most vengeful creatures alive. And
Yeah.
the moment this striped population control wants you dead, you might as well lease a casket. There's plenty of stories of tigers going from 0 to 1,000. In 2007, 3 teenagers that may or may not have been under the influence taunted 243-pound Tatiana the tiger, reportedly even pelting her with pine cones from a slingshot. Tati cleared a 12-foot mow, severely mauled 2 of the teens, and killed the third. In 2016, a tiger ripped apart an infamous poacher named Baby only 4 days after his group reportedly shot his mate. In 97, a hunter
Damn.
named Vladimir Markov not only shot a tiger, but had the audacity to steal his kill. As a result, the Whisker John Wick stalked his cabin, tore anything that smelled like him to shreds, including his mattress and bedding, and apparently even demolished an outhouse Markov had used. As you can guess, the story ended around the same time Vladdy did, once the Siberian assassin was there to greet him at his house. And then there's this. The backstory is that a mother tiger and her cubs had ventured beyond the boundaries of a park and had injured cattle in the process, so rangers went out to capture and relocate the trio. They successfully tranked and removed the cubs, but the mother was nowhere to be found. That was until about right here. The enraged mother cleared a full-grown elephant and managed to mutilate the
look at
mahout
that.
riding,
Look at how it
taking several
leaps.
fingers with her, and the fury on 4 legs
Crazy.
was never seen again. But the most infamous big cat crash-out came in the early 1900s, when a tiger dug, the man-eater at Chumpawat, killed 436 people, giving her the highest human body count of any single animal. And it was discovered that the cause was a cripplingly debilitating tooth injury that forced her to go after easier prey. And that's the thing
Oh
I
my
do
God.
want to mention. I know I had fun with the crash out concept, but really all the tiger was ever guilty of doing was what came naturally. And that really goes for every animal on this list. Tatiana wouldn't have had to die and take someone's son with her if they hadn't gone and tested her killer. Travis was an overweight, socially stunted, Xanax-consuming time bomb that some woman decided to keep inside as a pet. Even the whole Elefino mess started with poachers destroying and fragmenting their families and probably giving the pachyderms PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, I'll joke around and stuff for comedic effect, but I'm not actually out here judging animals by human standards. Because he said something real before he got Chris rocked and left with Fresh Prince.
Talk about the tiger went crazy. That tiger ain't go crazy.
Went tiger.
That tiger went tiger.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water, hug your mother. There's no church in the wild and no judge in the jungle, so don't expect animals to follow either. And I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.
Aw, it's kinda cute. Yo, that bird one was crazy. They look so cute, they're so small, but they're such a fucking menace. Anyways, yeah, that was a great video. Good stuff.